A woman named Adrienne Castellano sent me a message after choir rehearsal one Wednesday night, and I have not stopped thinking about it since. She is 61. She lives outside Baton Rouge, Louisiana. For 19 years, she directed the choir at her parish. And for the last 4 of those years, she was also the sole caregiver for her mother, who had dementia. She told me that somewhere in those 4 years, without ever deciding to, she stopped being a woman who handled things privately and became a woman who handled things wherever she happened to be standing. Lipstick reapplied at the dinner table because there was no time to excuse herself before the next crisis. Hand lotion rubbed in during a church meeting because her hands cracked from constant washing and she simply forgot anyone was watching. She had, in her words, gone feral in small, invisible ways. And she did not notice until her mother passed and the choir asked her back. At her first rehearsal back, a fellow choir member, gently, the way only another woman who loves you can, mentioned that Adrienne had reapplied her lipstick mid-conversation at the potluck the week before, without excusing herself, and hadn't seemed to register that she'd done it in front of 6 people. Adrienne told me she went home that night and cried, not from embarrassment, but from the realization that grief and exhaustion had quietly stripped something from her that she used to protect without even trying. She found this channel through that same choir member who had been watching my videos for months and finally sent one along. Adrienne told me she'd actually downloaded my free Elegant Morning Routine checklist sometime before that, during a different low point, and let it sit untouched in a folder on her desktop, the way so many of us collect the tools we need and then quietly fail to use them. It wasn't the checklist that changed things for her. It was watching a video very much like this one and recognizing herself, habit by habit, in every example of what elegant women simply never do in front of others. She told me the shift wasn't dramatic. It was a washroom trip instead of a table gesture. It was catching herself mid-motion and choosing to wait 4 minutes instead of 0. Within a month, the same choir member who gently flagged the lipstick told her something else. "You look like you again, composed, like nothing's touching you, even when I know things are." That is the sentence I want you to hold on to for this entire video, because it names something most of us never articulate. The habits we perform in private versus in public are not vanity. They are the last line of defense between a woman who is falling apart and a room that never has to know it. I think about Adrienne's story often, because it is not really a story about caregiving or even about grief. It is a story about how quickly any woman can lose 12 small, invisible disciplines during the hardest stretch of her life, and not notice the loss until someone who loves her gently points it out. Nobody decided to let these habits go. They simply got crowded out by something larger, one at a time, until an entire standard had quietly disappeared. My name is 𝐈𝐈𝐅𝐓. Every week I bring this community the information that nobody else is willing to say plainly. That community is called the Undeniables. If you are new here, subscribe right now. You belong here. And drop the city you are watching from in the comments below. I am always down there reading. I want to know where my fellow undeniables are. Now let's get into it. Habit 1. Reapplying lipstick at the table. I have watched this happen at galas, at family dinners, at business lunches. A woman pulls out her lipstick mid-meal and reapplies it in front of everyone still eating. It signals that her self-maintenance has priority over the shared moment at the table, even when that isn't her intention at all. An etiquette coach who trains hospitality staff for Relais and Chateau properties told me the rule she teaches every server-facing team. Nothing that belongs in a mirror happens at a table that belongs to conversation. A florist I know in New Orleans, the kind of woman who is at 3 weddings a month, told me she now excuses herself for exactly this reason and says no one has ever once commented on her absence, only on how put together she looks when she returns. Something I want to mention here, because it's connected directly to what changed for Adrienne. She eventually went further than the free checklist and invested in the Undeniables complete system, the full 30-day curriculum this channel is built on. She told me the identity work in that system, not just the etiquette tips, was what made these habits automatic, instead of something she had to remember in the moment. I'll come back to that once we've gone through the full list. Habit 2. Checking teeth in a reflection. I've seen women check their teeth in a butter knife, a phone screen, the black glass of a turned-off television. It is one of the fastest tells that a woman is monitoring her own performance rather than being present in the room. A dentist who treats several women in my circle told me this habit, more than any other, is the one clients are embarrassed to admit they do at the table, and it takes 30 seconds in a washroom to solve for the rest of the meal. Adrienne told me this was the first habit she caught herself doing, checking her smile in a spoon at a diner, and the first one she consciously stopped. Habit 3, flossing or using a toothpick in public. This one is nearly universal and almost never discussed. A dental hygienist who has worked in Baton Rouge for over 20 years, the same city Adrienne calls home, told me she sees this constantly at restaurants and that it signals a woman has not planned her own comfort, only reacted to it. The fix costs nothing. A travel pick kept in a handbag, used in a washroom, never at the table. Habit 4, adjusting undergarments in public. I have watched women reach beneath a blazer or shift a strap in the middle of a conversation without appearing to register they're doing it. A stylist who dresses several women in my social circle told me this single unconscious habit undoes more polished outfits than any wardrobe mistake she has ever corrected. She fits her clients so nothing needs adjusting, and teaches every one of them the same rule Adrienne now lives by. If it needs fixing, it needs a washroom, not a hallway. Habit 5, applying lotion in the locker room. I know this one will surprise some of you because it feels harmless. In a truly private space, it may well be. But a dermatologist I consulted for this video pointed out that the habit of self-grooming in view of others, even in a gym locker room, signals the same thing reapplying lipstick at a table does, that a woman has not built in the minutes she needs before she is seen. The women I know who are most composed do their full lotion routine before they leave the shower stall, not standing at the mirror bank beside 6 other people. I know several of you disagree with me on this one specifically, and I want to be fair to that. A gym locker room is not a restaurant table, but the women I have watched who are most consistently composed treat even a semi-private space with the same discipline they'd bring to a fully public one, simply because the habit, once relaxed in one place, tends to relax everywhere else too. Habit 6, clipping or filing nails in public. A manicurist who has worked with executives across New York for over a decade told me this is the single fastest way a polished woman undoes her own credibility in a shared space, because it signals she is treating a public room the way she'd treat her own bathroom. She keeps an emery board in her bag exclusively for private touch-ups, never public ones, and has for her entire career. Habit 7, applying nail polish in public. Wet polish at a table or on a train signals something specific, that the task was left too late and the room is now expected to accommodate it. A boutique owner in my circle told me she once watched a woman apply a full manicure during a flight and remembers it unfavorably a decade later. Plan ahead or don't do it at all in front of others. Habit 8, gargling or rinsing at the table. A few of you have written to me insisting this one is common sense, and you are right, and yet I watch it happen at dinner parties more often than you would believe. A maitre d' at a property I frequent told me the rule his staff is trained to model for guests is simple. Liquid never leaves the mouth once it has gone in, until the washroom. Adrienne told me she remembered doing exactly this once, mid-conversation, at her mother's memorial luncheon, and it is one of the memories that pushed her to change. Habit 9, fixing hair or using hairspray in public. I've watched women reach for a travel hairspray can in a restaurant booth, filling the air around an entire table with product. A stylist who works with several television anchors told me static spray, hairspray, and any aerosol touch-up belong exclusively behind a closed door, both for the scent it leaves on other people and for the signal it sends that the moment of preparation never actually ended. Habit 10, applying sunblock in public. Several of you wrote in to defend this one, and I understand why. Sun protection is not vanity, it is health. A dermatologist I know agrees completely, and her guidance is simply about method. Apply thoroughly before you leave for the beach or the pool deck, and keep a small reapplication routine private, angled away from shared blankets and towels, rather than a full production in the middle of a crowded shoreline. The habit isn't the sunblock, it's the performance around it. The full arm rubbing, the group narration, the bottle passed hand to hand across a blanket. A woman I know who spends every August on the same stretch of Gulf Coast, Adrienne grew up near, told me she now does her reapplication turn toward the water, quietly, mid-conversation, and nobody at the umbrella beside her has ever noticed the difference. Habit 11, shining shoes or touching up footwear in public. I have genuinely watched a woman pull a small buffing cloth from her bag and touch up a scuffed heel while standing in an elevator. An image consultant who works with several executives in my circle told me she keeps a travel shoe shine cloth exclusively for use in a washroom or a coat closet, never in a shared space, because the habit signals unpreparedness rather than resourcefulness, however clever it feels in the moment. Habit 12, the washroom reset. This is the habit that ties every other one together, and it is the exact practice a viewer described to me in her own words. Excuse yourself the moment something needs fixing, take the minutes you need in private, and return refreshed, smiling, and picking the conversation back up exactly where you left it. She told me she learned it from old etiquette books, years before anyone online was discussing it, long before this became a trend, rather than simply how she was raised. Adrienne told me this became her signature move within weeks. She now excuses herself so smoothly that, she says, people simply assume she stepped away to take a call. What they don't see is the deliberate minute in front of the washroom mirror, checking her teeth, resetting her lipstick, straightening whatever needed straightening, and walking back out exactly as composed as she was before any of it became necessary. Now back to what I mentioned earlier, because it matters more here than anywhere else in this video. Adrienne told me the checklist gave her the morning foundation, but it was the Undeniable's complete system that rebuilt the internal standard underneath all 12 of these habits. The first 90 seconds code on how a room reads you, and the full social architecture file on exactly this kind of table and room conduct. It is $69. It is below this video. I want you to have it. Here is what all 12 of these habits have in common, and here is what Adrienne understood only after she'd lost the version of herself who used to know it instinctively. Elegance was never about pretending your body has no needs. It is about protecting the 4 minutes it takes to meet those needs privately, so that the room only ever receives the finished version of you. Grief, exhaustion, and time will always try to take those 4 minutes from you. Guard them anyway. Here is your assignment. Pick 4 of these 12 habits, not all 12, 4, and hold them for the next 10 days without exception. Then come back and comment. I practiced the washroom reset and the lipstick rule, and tell me what shifted. Comment below, or if you would rather keep it private, send me an email. I read every single one. Subscribe if you have not already. This community grows one honest habit at a time, and I want you inside it. There is a video on your screen right now that I recommend you watch next. It picks up exactly where this one leaves off. Until next time, to every woman watching, you are not here by accident. You are an undeniable. Act like it. Isabel.